Oh, hi there. It's been a little while since I've made a video actually talking in person. I did some other projects in the meantime. Anyway, I wanted to do a video about anti-cyberbullying software and basically the moderators and admins that control websites, the internet, and everything that goes with it. The thing is, they don't stop cyberbullying. They don't stop trolls. They only stop the trolls and cyberbullies that they don't like. They are the trolls and the cyberbullies, and they're the more effective ones because they control the internet. Now you may go, well, what are you talking about? They're giving us news on the internet, and they're telling us this, that, and the other, and they're not prejudiced, they're certainly not racist, they do this and that. But if you go to certain sites, and they're not blocked, and they're not hard to find, you will find that there are two kinds of people. There's the idiots that go along with what's said, and then there are people who are firing a stupid beam at people. All they want is to dumb you down so bad that they control what you think and how you feel. That's how propaganda works. And if you control the media, you can do that. And anyone who doesn't agree with you can be silenced. Or at least shunned into a corner where only certain people are going to watch them and nobody else is even going to hear of them. Because I have opinions that are completely different to mainstream internet opinions, news stories, and same with conventional mainstream media like the news on the television and things like that. Now make no mistake, there is no difference. They're both controlled by mainstream media. They just have a different spin on things. They try to trick you into thinking they're two separate things. The internet is not a place for free speech. I have learned that. There are many types of websites that dictate to you how to think. And they do this by firing the stupid beam at you. There's no mystery, there's no puzzle, there's no reward to certain studies or collective thought on certain web pages. Now, I could go through examples like reptilian overlords, meat eaters versus vegetarians, flat earth theory, and all that other junk. There's nothing to be learned from any of that stuff. And these cyberbullies, they're bureaucrats. They work for the government, and they mask information, they manipulate. They say just as many bad things as other people do, but they say different kinds of bad things. They say things that are more acceptable to them because that's the narrative they want to spin. They don't want people to not go along with their narrative, and they don't want people to figure out what they're doing and explain to other people what's screwed up about what they do. Let's take veganism, for example. Constantly. You go to any vegan website and it's constant propaganda. There is no real debate. It's just them slamming you with anti-meat eating propaganda. Okay, there's a lot of things about the meat industry that are a bit screwed up and, ought to be fixed. But, 1,000 years ago I was a Viking, so meat on the table was normal, and it was the everyday thing, or you would die because you would starve to death because we hadn't properly learned how to grow food yet. Well, some Vikings did, but others hunted. Anyway, the point is, this is again them firing the stupid beam at you, and if they say it enough, they don't get silenced. Your opinion, no matter what it is, unless you're going along with what they say, gets ignored. Then it's just slowly but surely it whittles down most people who are not determined enough to resist their stupid beam. You sort of get brainwashed into believing their side of the story. And if they're the only ones who get to talk, then a lot of people are going to fall into that. And if they put their narrative, put the worst picture on anything you may think, and put the best picture that they can, and their word gets heard over yours because they're the moderators, they're the admins, then more people are going to go along with their opinions. Because let's face facts, when you grow up, when you're young, you're a jarhead, you're a pickle mush head. You ain't solid in the head. You don't have the intellectual stamina to resist their brainwashing tactics. You haven't learnt that yet, and if you have, odds are you learned it too young, and now you become like, this is my thought process, this is what I think, this is what I believe, and it could be over stupid things. Like, I've had arguments with people who have that determination, have that, I'm not going to change my opinion no matter what, but it's too small-minded on the things that they're so determined about. They learnt that solidness, but they didn't get enough information in their head before they developed that solidness of the brain. So now they're stuck in this kind of simplistic worldview where they will not accept new information, which sometimes is a good thing. I learned this solidness at the right time, because now I'm 30 years old and my brain is as developed as it's ever going to get, but I mean, I'm learning new things all the time and I'm changing my opinions about things, but the basic structure of my brain is pretty much settled. So what I'm saying is you can't get brainwashed into believing what they have to say to the point where you're intolerant to new information. And because these people, they know how to, I call it a head cylinder. I actually learned that term from Team 4-Star. I'm just changing the meaning of what they meant in the cartoon. Anyway, basically it's a containment field around your brain that dictates how you're going to think, how you're going to feel about things, and you're going to get so determined, so obsessive in that thought that nothing can penetrate that. You can't change your mind about things. And that's what these cyberbullies that work for the internet companies, who are really just bureaucrats that work for the government, do. They want to develop this simplistic head cylinder type situation for people so that they're incapable of learning new things. I have my beliefs, and it doesn't matter how many times they repost something that I don't agree with. It doesn't matter how many times they silence me. It doesn't matter how many times my comments get ignored or my videos get ignored. I know some people are watching, and some people may agree with me, and some people aren't going to because it doesn't fit in with their narrative. Like I bring up questions about racial tensions and things like that, and I don't go with mainstream media. Like, there's so many anti-racist cartoons where they're like, if you're racist, you have no brain, and this, that, and the other, and Trump's a total racist because he says a few bad things. Vote for Hillary Clinton because she's a woman, and this, that, and the other. You're prejudiced if you vote for a male president when there's the opportunity to vote for a female one. But I guess it didn't work out for her. She didn't win. Yeah. Normal society, modern day brainwashing, people are just as stupid and just as intolerant as they ever were. It's just, it's shifted. And now they release their distrust, their hatred, their anger, their frustration, all the bad feelings are just focused on something else. It didn't go away, which is ideally what you want. They've just shifted it to something else. And it's this whole atmosphere of anti-racism and things like that. And the problem with this fear is it's really anti-white. And a lot of people go, well, if I'm pro-black, that doesn't mean I'm anti-white. Actually, it might just mean that. If, depending on what you believe. Look, I ain't got a problem, as I've said in other videos, with getting the same things in life, you know, good job, a house to live in, a nice car, this and other things, as a black man or a Chinese man or whatever. But as I've said, this is a white man's country, and we can only have X amount of them in certain communities. We cannot be overrun by them. That's not multiculturalism. That's the darkies taking over. I'm talking about dark skin, black hair, dark eyes. They're not white. And I think it is racist if even a white male goes with a black female of any race that's, you know, dark colored. Because it's getting into the whole kind of thing that I don't really have any business talking about. It's, you know, not my bag. But there's some things about that I don't like. There's, you know, there's very few whites, and we can't bring in the next generation to, you know, become the thing that we all hate. We can't allow that to happen. And if some white guys are too stupid to understand, because they don't think with their brain, they think with their penis, then they need to have some sense smacked into them. And if they don't want to accept that, then they need to be excluded from mainstream society, as they were the ones who initiated this anti-racist platform, which basically was bashing white guys, white supremacists. They don't think that we should have a place in mainstream society and, you know, the proper social circles, and they demonize us all the time. Meanwhile, they're the ones who are idiots, and they think they're so smart. And I've made this point before. Thinking you're smart and actually being smart are two different things. I don't think I'm smart. I think differently than other people, and in a lot of ways I'm stupid. Like, odds are I'm going to go have a shower after this, go to sleep, and I'm not going to remember most of what I talked about in this video, because I've had a couple of root beers. So, that's not what's important about this. What is important is a few things. To reiterate. A, you can't be too solid in the way how you think until you have enough knowledge in your brain to understand things from a wider perspective, a broader understanding of what it is exactly you're talking about and what it is you're so focused and determined about. You can't just build these walls around your head when you only have a tiny little bit of information, and you can't guard that little bit of information and act like you're master university type material. Because if your knowledge base is small and you're guarding it with everything you got, then you're a very, very simple person. But that being said, also, if people with a wider perspective of life try to fire the stupid beam at you, you have to resist that. You can't let them dictate how you think. And it's very easy to throw an image, particularly on the internet, of anything, trying to get you to believe whatever they want you to believe. Like, they could, I don't know, use CGI and tell you that there's a big comet coming towards Earth, and have you convinced that that's what's going to happen. It obviously isn't, but there are people out there who do manipulate information like that. If the government wanted to, they could convince everyone that a giant asteroid is coming to destroy Earth, like, tomorrow. and everyone would have a conniption and start freaking out. But it could be just a big lie. Could be the truth, could be a big lie. No way of knowing. With modern day holograms and things like that, they could even, put one out there into space and have everyone go, "Oh my god, look at that! I can actually see it! Therefore it's real!" Well, man, not necessarily. I mean, if it is real, then what difference does it make what you think anyway? But if it's phony baloney, and you run around like a chicken with its head cut off, and they get what they want, they got you to think what they wanted you to think, then what can I say about that? Then you did exactly what they wanted you to do. Because causing widespread panic is very easy when you control the media. When you sit in high places and you put it on a big screen for everyone to see, and you silence any dissidents, anybody who doesn't agree with you, your trolls attack them and they get silenced. It doesn't mean you're right, could mean you're lying, but people will believe that because they want. Sometimes it's because that's what they want to believe. It's what they want to hear. Most of the time it is. Me, on the other hand, I can accept information that I don't agree with. I'll take it into consideration. I may debate its legitimacy. I may have questions about it. But I'm willing to watch things that I don't particularly enjoy. Like flat earth theory. Like, oh, is it ever a very boring subject? There's no reward to going to those Facebook pages and looking at that stuff. Like, no intellectual stimulation or anything. Most people just look at it as stupid. And it is. And so many Facebook pages. Like 6, 8, 9, 10 months ago, I looked up an Ashley Tisdale Facebook page just because I wanted, new information to be on my news feed. So I clicked, I just clicked a whole pile of things. I even clicked some Spice Girls things and things like that. Things I don't care about, but just something different to see if I can get things from a different perspective. Anyway, they finally accepted me after about 10 months, and the page, which is a private page, has nothing on it. Haven't even been a post for a whole year. So why would you even add me? Wouldn't that just be considered a dead zone where nothing's going on? Or it just doesn't make any sense. I'm sure there's some weird reason for why they'd even bother. I don't think it's because the admin finally went on and went, "Oh, I better approve all these requests," because why would he even care? Why would he even go there? There's nothing to be seen there. I've made Facebook pages that are interesting, and I talk and talk and talk on them. Zero requests to join. Zero. Whereas here's this Ashley Tisdale site that's offering nothing as far as information goes about anything, and it's got 1,400 members. Was there some intelligentsia behind these dead forums where they collect people who think they're learning something and they're not really? Are we being mocked by geeks who hoard information? Are we being undermined by people who can't come up with their own ideas and have no thought of their own? Whose sole knowledge base is what they've been told? This video, all in my head. I thought it all myself. I didn't get any help from anybody. Not from the internet, not from my outside life, not from my friends, not from my family, not from anybody. I thought it all by myself. And I am not going to have this stupid beam fired on me and have me, walking around thinking I know it all when in fact I know nothing. The thing is, I think I know nothing, but I actually do know some things. So these small things that I know are little things that can turn into big things, that can turn into large things. And if I can change the opinions of a few people, then hopefully my YouTube channel will grow and I can start making some dineros. That would be nice. So yeah, I covered a few topics here. These cyber bullies, these anti-troll software. Basically, what it is, and it's not sci-fi, is you use certain buzzwords or certain things in just your regular speech. Maybe you may have a YouTube channel or whatever. These things automatically get picked up by a machine. It doesn't even take a person to see it. Maybe it even only takes like a microsecond because these guys have, T4 internet connections. So maybe it only takes them like a minute to decipher what you've said in a video, or if you're using too many buzzwords in your posts and things like that, because even your writing carries some weight. And you get zeroed out. You don't just add 31 hours of content onto YouTube and have no one notice you. Especially if you have something interesting to say. I have run into other people who have made YouTube channels before. Most of them ain't very interesting. They got nothing cool to talk about. But I might have an idea or two that is conversation worthy. So, yeah, I'm just, I'm fed up. It feels like I'm trapped in a world where it's kind of like Vampire Hunter D Bloodlust, where the shadow creature Bengi, basically he ensnares Vampire Hunter D in this web, and Bengi starts laughing and saying, "Stay there till you rot, Hunter." And basically he's trapped in this web, and that can be conceived as a web of lies, web of control, web or anything. Basically, you're stuck in a spot, you're not going anywhere, you're not moving forward, and there may be no way to get out of this situation. As it turns out, Vampire Hunter D has this hand on his face on a face on his hand, and it's able to swallow up the spell, and he's able to get away. And then eventually the Bengay creature was killed. But the way I look at it is, that Bengay creature is a bureaucrat of some sort. It's a caricature, obviously, and I've discussed that in other videos. But this creep is hanging around in the background, and he's not particularly smart. He's not particularly, good at what he does. He's just a little creep. And I ain't got no respect for little creeps. He's a little fucking vermin. And you're gonna slink around in the shadows, I'm gonna get this guy when he's not looking. I'm gonna get him so he doesn't even know it's me doing it to him. And guess what? When you get found out and the light shines upon you, you only got yourself to blame. And I would take great amusement in seeing the financial ruin of these underhanded, dirty, backstabbing bureaucrats. Because make no mistake, I have made enemies who are bureaucratic and hide behind red tape and hide behind their rules and regulations, which they know, and they will not tell you what these rules and regulations are, because then they would lose their power if they did. And these are the true cyberbullies. They're the ones pushing their agenda. And if you don't see them for what they are, they'll continue to get away with it. Fortunately, they have enemies as well, who are also bureaucrats, may sway towards your way of thinking. They just may be quiet right now. Hopefully, they get a bit louder with Trump being issued in as the president. We will see. I have great faith in that. Yeah, so um, it's my earnest opinion that I don't think young people should look at the internet, or anything they do look at the internet should be parental supervised, because there's always going to be somebody out there. In fact, guaranteed there's somebody out there who's going to try and manipulate them into thinking their way of point of view, and that's them firing the stupid beam at you. And they're not your classic creep troll like they would describe on the media or whatever. You know, fat, pimply, lives in their parents' basement, you know, creep. They wear white shirts and they work in cubicles and they work for the government. Those are the real trolls. Those are the ones who say and do bad things all the time, and they get away with it because they know the rules and they ain't gonna tell you what those rules are. They're gonna get to the point where you can't get an answer out of them. They're not smarter than you, they're just dodging questions. And the more you understand this, the more you see them for what they are. You know they can never be trusted because they got this mechanism in their head where they can lie and it doesn't even bother them. It's like nothing. They just lie like that. And the thing is, maybe they can be honest for a while, but the minute that they start feeling as though they're not getting what they want out of you, this is getting back to the female bureaucrats, they'll turn on you and they'll start lying all over again. And do you really want to, you know, it's, whoa, for me it would be going with a female bureaucrat. I don't want to go with a woman who, for any reason at all, they're not going to tell you why exactly, will start lying to you because some reason you don't even know. It could be just because they're bored of you. I will not go with a woman who I can't tell when she's lying, because she's got a circle of friends that, or a circle of social, or a circle of workplace friends and or whatever, and you're not included in that circle, and they'll make it a point to not include you in that circle. Then you can never trust them, because they may have the same face, they may act the same way in front of you, but they'll start to turn when you're not looking. They'll start to change their opinions, they'll start to change how they do things, and they'll start firing the stupid beam at you, and you'll be oblivious to what they're doing. And with women, it's after what they've gotten, what they wanted out of you. Because it is human nature that people get bored of people. That I understand. But it doesn't always have to be that way. Just keep things interesting, keep things honest, and you can always work things out. But a bureaucrat doesn't want to work things out. A bureaucrat wants to better themselves, so they may start manipulating you into however they want you to think and feel and do. And all this is tied in together because bureaucrats are the trolls on the internet. I know I have a few that monitor my YouTube account and listen to the things I got to say, mostly because they're trying to build up evidence against me. Well, guess what? You ain't got none. So, that being said, I'm not worried about a thing. I know I'm going to figure out a way out of this problem that I'm in, which is not just my sore throat, not just mental health, just not my lack of having a girlfriend or any of that sort of stuff. Not just the people who want to be mean to me, because I got plenty of those. People who don't like what I got to say. People who don't want to hear what I got to say. People don't want me telling other people what I've got to say. because their world, there happens to be a little string on their whole scheme of thought, and you pull that string, and the whole thing comes tumbling down. Anyway, this has been a long, rambly video. Yeah, I got a little rusty because I hadn't made a video of this type for a little while. I'm also quite tired, so yeah, I figured I would throw out some ideas out there. Yeah, I'll make a video tomorrow. Done work fairly early, so whatever. Anyway, talk to you guys later. See ya.